wherever they came from. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, and you got to know how to thump them to get a good one too. I mean that was something my dad taught me. No, I mean it sounds weird, but my dad taught me that when I was a kid. You know, you thump the cantaloupes, the watermelons. If it's got the right sound, you know it's ripe and it's sweet. Because some of the ones, even in season, depending on where you get them, they may be underripe. Overripe would be, a little overripe would be okay because you get a richer flavor then. But underripe is sour. Yeah. So you want to make sure that that's. Oh, Josh says he got to try that cantaloupe at the Minnesota State Fair. He said it was pretty interesting.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. Is that one of the ones you got best of show with?
No. I think it was the State Fair. I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
Might have been.
AJ's being a smartass on the feed.
Better than being a dumbass?
Yeah.
That's true. That's very, very true. It's better than being a dumbass, for sure. So what kinds of stuff are you contemplating for upcoming meads now that the Flavor Bible is starting to take a front seat for things?
Oh, I can't tell you because that would give away my plan.
Are you telling us that's a trade secret, Steve?
It's a trade secret. Yes, exactly.
Is it 71B?
Yeah, is it 71B? Yeah, really?
No. I will tell you this, however. I went to Restaurant Depot, excuse me, and I bought ingredients for this one particular mead, all exclusively from Restaurant Depot. And so frozen fruit, a bulk clover honey, and I'm going to enter this mead. I'm going to call it Restaurant Depot, and so we'll see how well it goes. But that's all I can tell you.
That's like freezer mead.
Exactly.
Yeah, most of us made freezer meads last winter. It's like, oh, we need to make room for the spring fruit. In my case, it was the husband going, either you make mead out of this or I will throw it out. So it was like, okay.
Well, I kind of want to experiment more with chocolate. I made that my last Meadmaker of the Year award was with a chocolate mead where I used cacao nibs and Dutch chocolate and vanilla.
Yeah, you need to tell us more about that one.
Well, the original idea came from tasting really good meadow foam honey.
Oh yeah,
and it has that sort of toasty marshmallow character.
Marshmallow fluff in a bottle.
And it just I'd had a few good meads that were made with that, and I'd had used the honey a few times, and I thought, oh, this is crying out to be paired with chocolate. And so I did some research. Basically, I was Googling around, and I found all the chocolate mead recipes I could find. And based on all of those, I made up my own version and talked to a good friend and, essentially whose advice, a few people actually. I can name them. I was Michael Fairbrother and Chris England. Mm-hmm. And they gave me advice in terms of how much you want to use for cacao nibs. And Chris said, chocolate isn't chocolate unless you have vanilla.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so my spin on the chocolate mead was using the cacao nibs and the Dutch cocoa and vanilla, which I hadn't seen anyone had done before.
Uh-huh.
And it worked out really well.
Did you use defatted cocoa or just the regular stuff?
No, Dutch cocoa.
Okay.
High fat or Dutch process.
Yeah.
It was probably in there a week, maybe 2. And one of the tips I got, so I was going for not like a beat you over the head with the flavor, but a sort of a subtle. Because often one of the things people do wrong, or the mistake they make, is going over the top with the flavors.
Yes, I would tend to agree.
So I was trying to, at first it's got the meadow foam flavor, and then the other flavors come on, and there's an interplay and a balance. And I think that's another mistake people make, is not having that balance in the meads. They go one way or the other. They don't think about tannin and acidity. Is it sweet? Is it too sweet? You need a mead to be at the point where it's like, oh, yeah, it's a really interesting flavor, and oh, that's really good, and now I want some more, and not just like, okay, I'm done. I don't want any. I get what you're trying to do, but the drinkability factor just isn't there.
Yeah.
Anyway, so pairing that chocolate flavor with other things is something I've been interested in trying to do, and I have some ideas there, but I just haven't fleshed them out yet.
Nice. That's really interesting. The chocolate, when I saw the notes about that, I looked at your page on the Minnesota Homebrewers page. They had a big write-up on you, and they talked about your chocolate, cacao, vanilla, yummy Meadmaker of the Year win. And I was looking at that because I've kind of steered away from chocolate meads because so many of the chocolate meads I've had were that in-your-face chocolate, which I don't like. I like chocolate. I don't like chocolate things because they tend to be so in-your-face. Chocolate cake, chocolate cookies.
Right.
They're just like, wow, chocolate, with a capital C. And that to me just kind of, I don't know, sucks all the fun out of it. I like the idea of a delicate chocolate note kind of coming in there and going, wow, what is that? That's so interesting. That's what I'd like to see.
And you don't get it from cacao nibs. You get nuttiness from that. And if you're trying to make a chocolate mead with just that, it's not, or a chocolate beverage, or a beer or whatever. I've done several beers in the past with that. It just doesn't give you the chocolate flavor that people are expecting when they think chocolate.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. Trying to cut and paste and type the same.
The one time I've used chocolate was I used cocoa powder, and that was for chocolate pear. And
that'd be interesting.
I did. I think if I make it to the Mazer Cup, I'm going to bring a bottle just to let people taste. But it was really hard for me to balance. It took several iterations to balance how much chocolate I needed so that you could taste both the pear and the chocolate, but the chocolate wasn't overwhelming. And I also found that I needed a certain amount of sweetness, otherwise it was just too bitter.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Was yours sweet, semi-sweet?
It was sweet.
Okay.
It was big too. It was like a 16% ABV.
Oh gosh.
So the first thing I did was I want to lay that base. So I made a big trad, and I was on purpose.
Uh-huh.
I jacked the OG up so that it was probably like, I'd have to check my notes, but I'm thinking around 1170. And I hit it with two different yeasts. And one was a Chardonnay yeast, because I'd read about this yeast and it talked about how aging on the lees gives it a nutty flavor. So I was trying to get some nuttiness from that yeast, and I also wanted to leave a lot of residual sweetness, because I knew I was going to be adding the cocoa, the cacao nibs, and the vanilla. So that's going to dry out that somewhat. So yeah, it was probably, I've checked my notes, but once after primary, it was probably around 1040, 1050.
Whoa.
So it ate up the yeast ate up a lot of gravity points, but it was still pretty sweet. And then you hit it with the chocolate and the vanilla, and that's going to balance it out some. So it was a little bit lucky because I'd never done it before.
Wait. Did you just say you used two different yeasts?
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
You have no idea what you just did, Steve.
You've made Manny very, very happy.
No. I've been for I guess almost a year now. I've been asking everyone, do you ever use a mix of yeasts to try and get a different flavor profile?
Yes. I mean, so
oh, well, discuss.
I'm going to come back to it. I'm going to plug. I should get there's no royalties here, but I probably should get some royalties. I'm going to plug More Wine again. Their yeast descriptions and the variety of yeast they have. Read some of these descriptions, and they talk about how, this yeast gives you blah, 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 blah. And if paired with this yeast,
Ooh.
The combo. And so that's what I was doing there.
Ha! I have been vindicated.
Yeah, exactly. I deliberately pitched 2 yeasts in primary.
There you go. Awesome. I'm happy.
Yeah, Manny has
glad I could
asked
make you
every
happy.
guest we've had, and the answer is almost always no.
And not just no, but no. Why would you ask such a ridiculous question?
So yeah, he's like over there. He's actually dancing around in his garage right now, pumping his arms in the air, going, "Yes, yes, I am invincible."
I was right, and I knew it.
Yeah, Bob Slants was just saying that he has made a chocolate vanilla boucher with sea salt, and he did it dessert style.
Ooh.
Which, salted, basically it's salted chocolate dessert mead.
Salted caramel.
Yeah.
That sounds tasty.
Doesn't it though? Yeah, Bobby, that's the kind of mead that, makes your clothes fall off. Yeah, that's why we're marked explicit on the radio show. But yeah, that's some scary good mead there, man. That's now if you bring your chocolate cacao meadow foam and he brings his chocolate vanilla boucher with sea salt, that's a party, dude.
I'm there.
Right? You got to come to the Mazer Cup this year and bring some. There's some epic parties going on these days. I don't know. Have you been to the Mazer Cup at all? I don't remember.
I have not. I've been thinking of going for a few years now.
Dude, really? Yeah. I mean, we've got a conference. AMMA runs a conference for 2 days, and then the Mazer Cup runs for 2 days. So it's like 4 straight days of all mead all the time.
How can I turn that down?
Dude, right? It's like it is the most meatiest time you will ever have. And now we've got if you've been on Facebook at all, you've probably, I don't know how much you hang out on Facebook, but there's a guy who's sort of new to the scene. His name's Carvin Wilson. And
I know Carvin.
You know Carvin. Okay, I thought you'd met Carvin, but I wasn't sure. But anyway, Carvin just
I've never met him. He's my Facebook friend.
Okay. Well, Carvin popped out of nowhere and came to the Mazer Cup last year, and he's like a super mead advocate, and he makes amazing meads, and he's been taking medals all over the country, and he's like supporting mead in every possible way that he can. He's a really great guy. I've had the good fortune to have gotten to party with him a few times and hung out with him when I was in Arizona, and I'm happy to call him friend. He's a great guy. But anyway, he rents a suite on the top floor of the hotel and then books up all the rooms around it. So we have a party buffer, and the parties are like epic, and the mead is just like blows you out of the water. You gotta come. You gotta come, man. It's just like there's nothing like it. I mean, I'm sorry, it's like beyond the AHA. Okay, this is like concentrated mead. There's not that, it's not being diluted by beer at all.
When is it? This next year?
The AMMA conference is March 14th and 15th, and the Mazer Cup is the 16th and 17th. And they're both they're in Broomfield, Colorado at the Omni Interlaken. Hit the AMMA webpage, mead-makers.org, and the conference is listed there, and the hotel information and everything is underneath that. And then the Mazer hasn't posted up. They haven't posted up tickets and stuff yet for their stuff. But I mean, you come and judge, dude. Really.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah. I mean, you totally should. They're always looking for good judges, and everybody knows who you are, so it's kind of hard. Yeah, well, dude, 2 Meadmakers of the Year from the AHA. It's kind of hard to stay under the radar. It really is. Just saying. You might be hanging out up